We're going to look at the Lee ACP again. Now, my original video, I admit, I took it down, and I did a follow-up video. I also took it down because I think I did a poor job of explaining a couple things, and and I appreciate the people that pointed that out. Look, I'm human, I make mistakes, and as a result, I am redoing the video. It doesn't change how I feel about the machine, but I probably didn't do the best job explaining a couple things about it, and I thought that given the nature of how it works, it was important that I redid this video. So I'm sort of incorporating a couple videos that I did back into one, just to make everybody's life a little easier if you're trying to decide whether this is the right tool for you. So first, let me talk about the Lee ACP, and I will explain exactly what it's doing. And what it does is it's going to be priming off of the base. So there is a piece that is on a spring down here, and there is a stem in the back, or on the bottom I should say, and this is the stem, and that is what is actually seating your primer. And it just sits in this cup and it goes up through here. Now there is no inherent adjustment to this. As I've said in the past, technically you could go and, if you were competent on a lathe, you could easily make these in different lengths. I have tried any number of things on the bottom to build it up, everything from shims to, I've honestly tried like different electrical tapes, HVAC tape, aluminum tape, different things like that. Nothing seems to have a consistent effect, and honestly, the way it's designed, it's really, really accurate. So I've just left it, and honestly, I'm shooting great, and I've just kind of tweaked my load around it. It's seating right at 3000s, which is the SAMI spec. It's the same that you're going to find on, for instance, Dillon 750. They've modified their primer system to make it a lot harder to change, and theirs comes in right at 3000s also. So, it's a standard primer depth. That is measuring from the base to the depth of the primer. That's giving it a 3000s gap in there. And that just happens to work really great for me. So on the top end, there is this assembly. So you have a combination of fingers. It's two pieces that go together, and it will accommodate a wide range of calibers. And I'm using, for the record, I'm priming 284, which is a 308 bolt face. It's actually a rebated rim, so it's a little wider. And I'm going to show you how I accomplish that, even though Lee says that it doesn't do some of these larger cases. So you've got these fingers. They are for alignment. And then you have the stem in here. And the stem is going to actually push into, so it goes into the case, and it's going to be pushing down on the case, and that's what's going to be helping to seat it. Okay, so the fingers are helping with alignment, and they're helping hold it in place. They are not actually pushing down or applying any serious pressure, and that's why you can do like straight wall and stuff like that. And look, I didn't do a great job of explaining that last time, so I appreciate, again, those who pointed it out. Now, this is also how you can change this unit to a decapper. They make a decapping kit that you can buy, and instead of this pin, it swaps out to a decapping pin, and then it gives you an attachment for the bottom that holds spent primers and stuff. So let's put this back in. This does have a right and wrong way. There's a bulbous end that goes at the top. Okay. And hang on one second here. And this just screws down and holds it in place. Okay. So, how have I made this work for me? Well, it's not a perfect system. Look, it's $90. I know people laugh at Lee, but the reality is they actually make some pretty decent stuff, and I've really come to appreciate, I don't think everything they make is great, but they do have some tools that work really well. First off, there are different ones of these pieces here that are different heights. You just want to take, for rifle brass, you want to pick the highest one possible. But it does still have a problem because I'm using really tall brass. When it comes out of the feeder down here, it wants to kick the brass over sometimes when I pull down on this. And so what I've done is just taken a little piece of cardboard and taped it to the handle, and that just guides the brass and keeps it from kicking out. You can make fun of my cardboard all you want, but it works fantastic. I've done it on my APP also. If I had the skills to 3D print or even had a 3D printer, sure, I could make a little attachment for it, but a little bit of painter's tape and a piece of cardboard, and it's 100% fixed. It also suffers from Lee's horrible design on this. It's not great. It does hold 100 primers in here. It is a mini flip tray. I'll show you in a second. But the primer system honestly kind of sucks on this. It uses this ramp down here that's sort of like a roller coaster looking thing, and it's designed to help feed. As you move it, it flexes just a little bit, and it's got a spring that holds down your primer until it comes back up and then feeds another one. And it works okay. Like when it works great. And when it doesn't work, you just have to kind of tap it a couple times. I have looked at getting something to kind of attach to this to help vibrate it. But honestly, if I don't see it, I just tap on it and you'll see. This big shield does get in the way. I haven't removed it or anything, but it does sort of block everything from being seen in your primers. But there's a couple ways that you can kind of help this at least feed. Near the end, there will be 3, 4, 5 primers that don't want to feed. And again, I know it sounds stupid and I didn't come up with this, but if you just stick a zip tie down in there and push the last 3 or 4, it helps finish them off. Is there a better way to do this? I'm sure there is. I'm sure there was something they could have done to design some other feed system, but it's simple, it meets their price point, and to their credit, it mostly works just fine. Because of how it works with the gravity feed, you will occasionally get a primer that wants to kind of flip or not engage fully, so sure, you got to fix that once in a while. But to me, the biggest deficiency and where I get the most frustrated is down at the bottom. There's a hinge. I don't know what kind of spring it's called, but it's like a compression spring or something. And half of it goes underneath this primer feed chute, and the other half goes on top, and it holds one of the 2 lips down here. And it has a habit of popping off. Now, if you call Lee, they'll send you another one for free that is basically hot glued on. That fixed my problem for a couple 100 rounds, and then it popped off, so I now have it on the back with some like 100-mile-an-hour tape holding it down. That seems to be doing the trick now. We'll see how long that lasts. I haven't tried actual super glue, but the tape seems to be holding it just fine. And as long as that spring is in place, this thing works great. If you notice that it's not working well, chances are your spring has come off, because that does it does kind of make the feeding motion work correctly, and if that's not on there, it's not going to work great. So, those are sort of the downfalls of the machine. That being said, I really do love this thing. It's what I've been priming on primarily for quite a while now, maybe like a month and a half, and I've really been happy with the results. The only other thing that really surprises me is that there's no kind of feed mechanism that comes with it. Now, if you order a Lee APP like this one over here, right? So when you order the APP, it comes with a tube holder and it comes with this tube. The ACP does not, and they are roughly the same price. So I was a little surprised that the ACP doesn't come with a tube and a holder. So if you already have an APP, great. You can actually modify. This is the A holder that they call, and that one works great for 284. The B holder is a little smaller. I just took a big drill bit, like a 1/2-inch drill bit, and drilled out this side. It works great now. And other than that, there's no real difference. But if you don't have an APP and you only buy the ACP, you will need to order. It's about a $10 set of adapters. It comes with both the black ones here, the A and B, and then you'll have to order one of their tubes to get the feeder to work. So I think that's a little weird that they didn't include that. All right, so how do we get this working? Well, let me grab. Okay, so we've got our primers. We've got our little flip tray. There's an on, there's a lock, and there's an open. We want to put it to open. Now this flip tray is not huge. I tend to open it all the way so it makes a square, right? And then lay my primer box on. Federals are kind of monstrous. It's a lot easier with CCIs, I won't lie. Okay, and I dropped one primer. All right, so now they're in here, and you got to get them all to one side and do the little shaky, shaky, shake. And sometimes I get impatient, so I just flip the last one or two. And there's one. And two. All right, so now they're all flipped. Now it's really easy to want to shut this without paying attention to this hinge in the back. You can actually sandwich primers in there, and that's not great either. So I just try to bring the primers. Oops, I got one upside down in there. My tweezers aren't handy. There we go. All right. So I just try to bring the primers down so that there's a gap across the top up here. And now we can close this up and put it in the lock position. That will prevent primers from coming out. Make sure you don't put it in the open position, because they'll all start coming out and then you'll be crying at all your primers that are on the ground. All right, so now it's like this. There's a little chute on the back that this just plugs into. And now we can slide that lever into the open position, and then you tap on it and it's going to fill up this little primer chute that's down here. So now it's ready to go. All right. Now, this is the part that I really love. Watch how consistent this is. And let me get my tool out. All right. So I've got my Accuracy 1 primer depth gauge. And all right. So there's number 1, 3 thousandths. Okay. Three thousandths. Three thousandths. Get the idea? This thing is, it's stupid consistent. And I truly believe that, as simple of a design as it is, that is because it's doing it off the base instead of using a shell holder. You know, it gets maybe half a thousandths variance, like this one's, that one's 3 also. But, I mean, I could do this all day. I have done this all day, and I've measured across a wide range. I mean, it's 3 thousandths. It's just, that's where it is. Now, if I made a different stem, I have no doubt that if I made it 2 thousandths longer, I would get 5 thousandths all day long, or 7 or 9, or whatever it is that I wanted. And because that stem is pushing down and pushing the base of the brass and pushing it down against the primer, you know, there's no chance of any shoulder bump. Nothing's going to move. There's no impact to the brass in any way other than that it's pushing down to help seat the primer. So it's a very simple design. And, you know, I'll just show you real quick my case feeder setup. So I just have my Dillon up there. It's just on this pole, and it just goes down into this holder. And I've done another review, and I'll put a link down in the description for it, but it's a whole case feeder kit that you can get off eBay. This guy 3D prints this with the spring, and then it just plugs in up here. So it's a really great, simple design, and he really doesn't charge much for it. And I've been really, really happy with it. And I just switch, you know, this primer tube just goes between my APP and my ACP. So there you have it. You know, I hope this better lays out exactly what's going on with the ACP so that you can make a decision. Again, I apologize for the previous video where I was not really clear about how this was working. And once again, I appreciate the viewers who are, you know, there watching videos. And I make mistakes. If you want to point them out and it's a legitimate mistake, then I'm happy to make corrections. So things happen. I want everybody to have a good experience and make a good decision. So that is the Lee ACP. It's about 90 bucks. Description is in the link below. And that's it. So thanks for watching, guys. You guys have a good one. We'll talk later.